Ain't nobody spoke to me in 3 weeks now. This punishment's got old. I guess Josie's mama done told her to stay away from me too, 'cause she ain't been by either. I ain't seen her since the day we got in trouble. I knowed it was dangerous, and I knowed I was wrong to do it. I wish I could say that to Mama and have her believe me. But there she goes, walking right on past me, and won't even look me in the eyes. I'm not much on book learning, but I can't wait until next month, when school starts back up again. It'll likely still be hot, but I'll at least be able to get on the school bus and get out of this little patch of nowheres. They got air conditioning in the schoolhouse now, and it feels like heaven having that cool air blowing down at you. Today it's so hot I'm surprised the mercury ain't busted from the thermometers. That's the whole reason I'm in trouble anyways. Our town is called Cave Springs, Georgia. Doesn't that sound nice and fresh? Well, it ain't. It's danged hot during the summer, even with all the tree shade. Can't sit inside the house neither. Every part and parcel of where I live is steamy hot from late April to early October. We ain't hooked up to the electric cooling yet like so many of the places in town have got. And I live pretty far out, further than any spring tolerable to swim in. Well, except Hematite. I don't live far from it at all. But it's a swimming hole nobody around here is supposed to touch. That's why I'm on punishment. 3 weeks ago, our Coca-Cola heat meter was showing a bright red line stretching past the 100-degree Fahrenheit marker. That wasn't uncommon in the least, but I was sure tired of it. I was sitting on the front porch steps, fanning myself with an Archie comic. The heat made it too exhausting to read. My granny was doing what she always does, sitting in her rocking chair, creaking backwards and forwards, mumbling to herself. Granny hadn't been right for a while. Her mind took loose from her about 1.5 years ago, when my daddy's factory caught fire and he got killed in it. The doctor said it was heartache that made Granny soft upstairs. Now all she does is sit in her rocking chair. Granted, ain't much she can do. Her eyes used to be dark brown like mine, but now they're white as milk glass from the cataracts. Looking directly at her is like staring into 2 crystal balls that can't see the future or the past. Sometimes she cries and says she sees my daddy, but I'm 15 in 2 months and old enough to understand that spook stories ain't real. And when God takes you, He don't leave pieces of you behind like that. Mama was in the kitchen helping herself to another sip of shine when Josie poked her head in the front yard. She had an orange soda pop in each hand, and I prayed thanks to Jesus for giving me such a good friend. Not everybody had a gal like Josie, who'd bring you cold drinks from her grandpappy's petrol station. She hollered at me to come with her, and I obliged. For a second I thought I'd tell Mama I was leaving, but I heard the clink of glasses in the kitchen, and I figured she didn't ever know whether I was going or coming. I took off towards the road, wiped the sweat from around my face, and gave Josie a hug about the shoulders. She was sweating too, and I felt it seeping through her dress seams. I took my soda pop and told her she was the sweetest and cleverest thing this side of the Mason-Dixon. We rambled off down the road, and once we was out of hearing distance from the house, she told me we needed to find somewhere private to talk. Last Sunday she had tongue-kissed a boy from our school named Dean Hubbard, and like a sinner to a priest, she wanted to share the gritty details. We walked a good piece down the holler, giggling to ourselves and sipping from our bottles. Before either of us knew it, we was on the path leading to Hematite Lake. The trees grew a bit thicker that a ways, and we both seemed to welcome the coolness that came with the shade. We plopped ourselves down on an abandoned dock. Since nobody was around, we pulled our dresses off and sprawled out in our undies like 2 ladies looking for a tan. It was unbearable hot, and the clothes were suffocating. Meanwhile, Josie waxed on about the kiss and how it felt like a bunch of earthworms squirming around her mouth. I was more interested in the water. Hematite Lake was really a beautiful place, tranquil and serene, and all those other 50-cent words that meant peaceful. The water was still, and because of all the sediment, the lake was black and shiny like an actual piece of hematite. You'd think that being so hot around these parts would cause such a pretty stretch of water to be filled to the brim with swimmers. Not so, because Hematite Lake has a reputation. First off, this area used to be thick with Indians, and it's said that they cursed this lake when the whites took over and made them march off to the reservations. Second, everybody says that murderers dump the bodies in the lake and that it's chock full of skeletons at the bottom. Like I said before, I've got a clear head on my shoulders, and that mumbo-jumbo doesn't impress me. I stay out of the water because of the third reason, which is the only one that makes sense. It's a breeding site for water moccasins, and since you can't see through the black water, how would you know if one was swimming right along with you? But the heat had made me braver. Or I guess it made me stupider. I told Josie we ought to take a dip, just to wipe the sweat off. She sat up and looked at me like I was cotton-headed as Granny. "Abilene," she started, "you better not step a toe in this lake. You know what everybody says. It's cursed and filled with Indian blood." "That's just an old wives' tale. The water's dark from all the dirt in it. Indians wouldn't have wasted their time rattling feather sticks around this puddle." To make my point, I stuck a toe off the dock and into the water. It was cold and sent a chill up my leg. Josie gasped. "Abilene, how dare you? You're going to have spirits following you around from this day forward, fooling in the water like that." I laughed like a mad goose. Josie sure was superstitious. I wouldn't be surprised if she still thought stepping on a crack would break her mama's back. "I'm starting to get burned." Josie's freckled skin was bright pink and bordering on red. She pulled on her clothes slowly. "We probably ought to get back. I owe Pap some help with the shelves today since he let me borrow them drinks." Fine. I pulled my own dress on. "But let me get cursed again for old time's sake." I thought I'd be funny by sticking my foot in the water to my ankle, pretending to get sucked in by the skeletons. That's when the wood on the corner of the dock crumbled, and I slid backwards into the lake. It hit me like an icy cold slap on the back of the head. It was so cold it burned. I choked on the water, and I heard Josie above me on the dock screaming my name. The water was so still on the surface, but underneath it was rippling all around. I was blind even with my eyes wide open, and I couldn't tell whether I was going up or down. I tried to swim, but the water froze me, and all I could do was paddle my limbs like windmills. My nose and throat burned, and my skin prickled all over. I must have fainted from the fear, because the last thing I remember before I woke up wet on my own front porch was something grabbing me so tight around my left arm, it stung. Must have been Josie pulling me out of the lake. I got so danged waterlogged from it I just don't remember it all. But there is a big purpley bruise mark on my left arm, still. I told Mama I'm sorry for having been so stupid as to go in Hematite Lake, but she still don't think I've learnt my lesson. She walks around me, never meeting my eyes, sipping her shine and giving me the silent treatment. I suppose it'll continue till I go to school. Since Josie ain't been by to visit, it's just me and Granny on the porch every day. She's gone softer over the past few weeks. Each time I get near to her for anything, she starts going on into cahoots, wailing that there's haints all around her. Her white eyes goggle in their sockets, and if I weren't such a reasonable girl, I'd likely believe her hysterics. But like I said, I'm too old for spook stories. I just wish Mama, or Josie, or anyone for that matter would stop ignoring me. I'm tired of this punishment. Ain't nobody spoke to me in 3 weeks now.